Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, for this insightful presentation. Now, over to you, Akshay, for the session.
A very good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to you all from a cold morning in Delhi NCR. I'm Akshay Singhal. I'm a partner with Ernst & Young looking at the digital transformation programs, exercises, initiatives by governments, by PSUs, both in India and the Africa and the Middle Eastern market for EY. Thank you today for your time to join us to get some view from the esteemed panel that we have with us from the various PSU organizations in the country who are going to talk about the innovation with respect to the emerging technologies and how they are realigning their businesses, how they are realigning their strategies given the new era that we all live in. I start my short discussion with 3 or 4 slides before I take on to the panelists and ask them some easy and some difficult questions. So, of course, we all live in this changing world, and as Socrates said, the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And I think that's where the essence lies of the change that we all have gone through in last 18 to 20 months in our professional and personal lives, in our goals that we set out for our organizations, in the national goals as well, which the governments at both center and the state level has done as well. So I think let us look at what has been brewing among the PSUs, especially in the oil and gas space, in terms of what they are building the new. I'll give you a few pointers to begin the discussion. First, a lot of you would be aware of India, the third largest energy and oil consumer in the world after the US and China. India is the 4th largest importer of LNG. We are the largest exporter of petroleum products in Asia. India has emerged as a refinery hub, and we want to increase our capacity to 400 million metric tons per annum by 2025. We have a large reserves in natural gas. We have about 10,000 CNG gas stations planned to be opened by 2025. Today, we have about 23 refineries in total. I think 18 are under the public sector, 3 under private sector, and a couple of them are in the joint venture as well. This is a large arena. There's a large consumer base. There's a large supplier provider base that we see, and the large international active participation push we see in the oil and gas sector space in the country. Now with the changes in time, the sector itself is also going through digital transformation study. Now, these digital transformations have to have various things going hand on hand with it. So one is we're looking at those digital reforms which the PSUs in the oil and gas space have been adopting, have been forced to adopt in certain cases, had adopted a few of them in the past, and thinking a lot more about in near future. So I picked up 3 broad areas of the digital transformation that PSUs have really worked hard or working hard towards getting on. So one is the cloud-based platforms. So if you look at it, a large number of upstream oil and gas companies are moving towards the cloud-based platforms to host their applications, to host their systems, to host their production systems. And we definitely see almost 100% cloudification of the newer age applications in next couple of years. That's an area of huge digital transformation from the world where we used to live in the in-premise systems, on-premise systems, based out of larger technology based cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, where you would host a DC and you would host a DR in some other location. The second is the IoT, which we believe will have a huge impact in oil and gas and the mining sector to the tune of about $1,000 billion in next few years. And lastly, we seeing the AI and ML becoming a key tool for forecasting of production, for enhancing operational efficiency, operational research decision making, and a number of workforce related aspects as well. There are a number of use cases that you would see in this space which are being implemented by the PSUs. A lot of them have gained huge traction among their supplier side, their user side, and their production side as well. So the whole intent of this session today is to see how far digital transformation enablement has happened and are planning to happen in near future, taken up by the key players, the key decision makers that we see today on the forum. There are a couple of pointers for discussion I share with you all as audience and to the panelists as well, which I'm going to presenting to you as questions, or posing to you as questions. So definitely we're talking about the next level challenge of realigning our businesses with the technology. And given that the PSUs have national goals as well to achieve as well. So how are they aligning their business strategy with technology with national goals? That's an important area for us to focus on. Then what is the focus on developing and implementing the digital transformation strategies for decision making for business continuity? The third aspect is how new technologies such as AI, ML, smart analytics, cloud, cyber, they are being leveraged by the key CIOs, CTOs, CXOs of the oil PSUs. What are the key challenges that you have faced so far in your digital transformation journey and you may face, that you envisage you may face in near future? And lastly, the technology is nothing without the workforce that we talk about. So how do you envisage workforce of tomorrow in your sector? What type of workforce do you see going forward? What type of people you think, what skill set they will have, what technology capabilities you would want them to have in near future? What changes in your recruitment strategy? What changes in your training models? And as Sanjay also mentioned, that we need to look at upskilling our folks as well. So what are your thoughts around it? So we'll keep these few pointers for discussion for today. And I would end with the quote from Greg, who clearly says that no matter how much falls on us, we keep plowing ahead, because that's the only way we can keep the roads clear. So all of us as oil PSUs, you have fared well in these last 18 to 20 months in difficult times, and you have kept the roads clear for all of us so that we as a country can move ahead. Idea is how we can support you as industry, what type of use cases you have in your mind, which can be digitalized, which can have a bigger impact on achieving efficiencies and your business goals and national goals. So with that thought, I disconnect my presentation and I start off with the panelist one-on-one. So may I start off with Shri Harishankar Prasad ji, who is the Executive Director, CIO at Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, ONGC. Shri Harishankar Prasad ji.
Thank you, Akshay ji. First, I would like to even thank you and the governance now that they have brought all the CIOs of the PSUs, like especially in oil sector, together to discuss the thing. In fact, we do not get time in the office to discuss all the technology, what we are implementing. in our organization. So thanks for that. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, in fact, I was carefully watching that cloud presentation by Nutronics, and what I feel that, and other even PSUs are also facing that, especially in the oil sector or in the critical, it is a critical infrastructure sector of the government, and the more focus are on the critical infrastructure, and there are certain guidelines under which we have to operate, and we have to keep our data. So mostly the critical data till date, it is not in off-prem, it is in on-prem only. So we have that constant. So migrating to cloud for all the data, like it's difficult right now. In ONGC, yes, we have also started the cloud journey because there are some ENP roadmap has been, cloud migration roadmap has been given by the ministry. And we are evaluating that, and we have made up a roadmap for how to migrate. And we have identified some data which are not so critical in nature, and that we are trying to migrate in a short term. In the long term, that depends again on the government, like how they allow, because there are so many monitoring agencies, starting from the even Ministry of Defense, even MIT has given guidelines. So considering all those regulatory guidelines, yes, we are also planning to move to the cloud. Already we have put Samanvay portal. I think all PSUs are using that Samanvay portal. It is on the cloud, and this was with the government permissions that we have put. So that is one thing. Now, coming to artificial intelligence and ML, whatever just now we have explained, we are a knowledge-based company, and our, in fact, the main focus is the interpretation of the data what we acquire from the field. So we have got an institute, and there we have, in fact, ONGC has in-house, we have developed AI and ML capability, and we are using extensively in the GOP that technology, and we are even going for patenting that technology, that AI ML, what we have developed. We are going in a mass way for SCADA, even real-time monitoring of that drilling operations. We are going to get all those data. We are going to get here in centrally. In fact, partly we have already started getting, and we are going to put an analytical platform on this. So, so those are some of the things. In fact, I want to just inform guys, we are in the process of going for in a big way for analytics. This is in the operational area. This is in the business area. So all those areas we are covering, and we are assessing the gap also by through some reputed consultant. We are assessing that how globally other companies are in ENP they are doing, and we are trying to assess our maturity, and accordingly we will progress.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad Singh. I think it was a fantastic view that ONGC is taking around enhancing its capabilities using analytics solution, and they're already evaluating a lot of options, use cases that you want to implement in the space. So right. I'll fantastic, Mr. Singh. So I'll come back to you again, sir, with a more specific question. I'll move on to Shri P. Anil Kumarji. He's the Executive Director, Information Systems with Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Over to you, Anil Kumarji. What are your thoughts?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am, in fact, Mr. Anil Kumar has to urgently go for an additional meeting with Mr. Director's called. I'm Sanjay Suri here, General Manager, IT Technology. So I'll be speaking based on my thought on where we are in terms of adopting new age technologies. Okay. So most of our solutions which we are deployed now, which we are new age solutions, especially in the era of digital technology, we are deploying on cloud only. All our existing core system are on-prem, but many of the solutions which are based on like analytics or customer-driven initiatives, whether we have launched a couple of customer-facing initiatives that are done on cloud. And of course, we are looking at some of the existing applications we want to modernize that after modernization, because unless we do modernization or technology, there is no point shifting solution as it is, lift and shift doesn't make any sense. So wherever we are trying to modernize those systems where we can adopt like containerization, we are looking at cloud. And we are looking cloud not as a cloud first policy. We are trying to look at cloud smart policy. We don't want to go to cloud blindly. So we are critically analyzing applications which are cloud ready. Of course, new application, as I already stated, we are moving first on cloud. Whereas existing application or legacy core application, SAP, non-SAP application, which it makes sense because they are the core under which they are already on-prem, and we have as of now no plans unless Whereas of course new application like our new gas businesses which are looking for new age S4 HANA kind of technologies, we are predominantly trying to look into cloud first. Public their new offering which is now available S4 HANA on cloud. We are trying to look at there. So this is the thought process which we have. Another thing which we are adopting open source to some extent. Very cautiously we are using open source wherever it adds values to our existing application, maybe faster deployment. That's the plan which we have. Does that answer, Akshay?
Absolutely, and thank you, Mr. Surya. I think I'll come back to you with some specific pointers around here.
Sure.
Thank you. So I move on to Alok Khanna ji. He's the Executive Director, Strategic IS and IS at Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Mr. Khanna.
Alok, so you mute. Yeah, good morning. And first of all, thanks to Governance Now, Kailash ji, for inviting me for this esteemed panel. And thanks to the panel members, I am having a good learning experience by hearing about their companies. And Indian Oil is, again, we are the largest oil and gas PSU in downstream, and very big customer base. We can't be averse to, we can't ignore the emerging technology. So we realized this very early, and we started a very structured digital transformation project, which is almost more than 3 years underway now. And what all my other panelists have said, all these new emerging technologies, they are very, very relevant for us. Imagine Indian Oil is having a 15 to 20 crore customer base. Now, these same customers are also browsing on Amazon or Swiggy or Zomato or Ola, Uber. So they will expect the same kind of experience when they come to Indian Oil or BPC or HPC also. So realizing that we have had a very structured digital transformation project, and we are in the digital transformation field, we are not only future-proofing ourselves by procuring the relevant COTS tools, but also the emerging technologies like AI/ML, blockchain, chatbots, AR, VR, etc. They are all being used wherever they are relevant. So if the business is finding some technology relevant, we are definitely adopting to it. Imagine the possibilities are immense. We have our OT systems are having a huge wealth of data. Imagine the historians in refineries or SCADA systems in pipelines. They have huge data, real-time data. Only thing is, I completely agree with my colleague from ONGC that we are governed by the cyber security or critical infrastructure norms. But even then also, the possibilities of these technologies are so immense that we have to find a way like water finds its way. So that's how we have tried to implement these technologies, ensuring all these security guidelines from the government. And imagine the intelligent pinging data of thousands of kilometers of pipelines was available, but how to deploy some machine learning algorithms to predict which are the zones which are most prone to corrosion. or imagine in the refineries, moving away from first principles, can we deploy machine learning for predictive maintenance or yield optimization algorithms? So these are the kind of initiative which we have done and we have implemented, and the business has appreciated it. In fact, whatever business will appreciate, whatever business will take, that's the success. So these emerging technologies have great benefits. A customer-facing company like ours, it has to do with the customer sentiment analysis. These technologies are very good at that. You can replace the manual call centers with the automated chatbots. So these are just few thoughts of mine, but I am in complete consonance that guarding our systems, we can adopt to cloud also, we can adopt to the emerging technologies also, and it has the great potential.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Khanna. I think you gave a very different perspective from a customer side also, and what customer today, and we also as individuals, as customers, are using services of various online platforms, and we want the same quality, speed, efficiency, and outcome from oil and gas stakeholders, PSUs, to be given to us. So fantastic touch to the digital transformation story. Thank you, sir. I'll come back to you with a specific question sometime, and I'll move on to Shri Ritvik Rath. Shri Ritvik Rath is the Chief General Manager, IS Strategy at HPCL, Hindustan Petroleum. May I request Ritvik sir to share his thoughts?
Okay. Once again, good morning to all of you. Thanks to Governance Now and allowing me to be part of such an esteemed panel. And thank you, Mr. Singhal. When you presented the deck, and I saw the first one aligning the business goals with the national goals, I thought it was a need of restating one's own faith. I think if I'm speaking so, and I'm doing it on behalf of the rest of my co-panelists, I think everything that's been done has been kept in keeping the national goals in mind. The whole business firmament as it has evolved, and the solutions and our business strategies coupled with the technology strategies have all been focused on that. So if you look at the challenges of the PSUs today, the need is basically to address the customers, obviously. And like Mr. Khanna was saying, today's customer is very discerning. It is no longer the same which was possibly 5 years back. And at the same time, the experience has evolved significantly in a lot of other areas. So like the challenge is twofold. One is addressing the customer requirements as it comes from outside, and the internal customers as well, because they also need to have the same kind of experience that they have at home and in other spaces. So the digital and IT setups of PSUs are these twin challenges on hand to devise strategies to look at meeting the customer needs. If you look at the next set of priority items for us, it is the huge asset set that we have brought with us. And when I say these assets, they're spread across so many locations. So today's technologies allow us to first get them connected and then make them intelligent so that we get more value from these assets, try to sweat them as much as possible, and see that they are optimally utilized. The third, if I look at, is the operations. So all of us are almost there, quite a few downstream companies here, and we have same challenges with operations. So the technologies definitely like IoT and the intelligent big data and analytics have helped us in redefining the operations. Look at huge amount of data, because if you look at the last 30 years or so, we have been pumping a huge amount of money into every sphere of automation and sitting on a huge pile of data. But the new technologies have definitely helped us in using them in a very different way. So we improve our operations as well as the supply chain. So I think I'll keep my opening views restricted to this at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. It's a pleasure talking to you. I think we spoke once earlier as well, and knowing your view around how the technology, the big data, the new age consumer story has to all come together is a fantastic view, and I'll come back to you with a difficult one. So, so moving on to D. Bera. He's the General Manager, BIS for GAIL India. I may request him to share his thoughts, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akshay, and good afternoon to all of you. I thank to Governance Now also for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this esteemed panel. As everybody understands nowadays that these newest technologies are need of the hour. We cannot just stay away from these technologies, but because these technologies are too powerful and it can actually change the entire business method of doing business. These are very, very powerful tools. So like other organizations also, we have also adopted some of them, not all, definitely. Like RPA, we have gone to a large extent because, over the years, many isolated solutions have been implemented in different pockets. And at times we felt that there is a need to interconnect or integrate or automate certain processes. So RPA as well as API-based integration are very, very helpful on that, including integration with external systems like our customer systems or banks. So there we used this technology, and those are very well appreciated and accepted by our customers and process owners also. Same way, the other area in which we did a significant progress is that mobile enablement, because now experience matters. Now people want ease of use. So we have converted a lot of applications and made them mobile enabled, and which has significantly enhanced the experience of the user, significantly reduced the processing time. So there also we have got quite a bit success. As far as cloud is concerned, definitely to some extent we have gone to private cloud, but we have also established a public, to a certain extent we have gone to public cloud, but we have also established a private cloud, which is again on Nutanix based, and that is wonderful technology, HCI technology. It is running absolutely fantastic. So, and in future also, our plan is that whatever new solution are coming, we'll try to put that on public cloud first. If it is not feasible, then probably we'll go to our private cloud. Analytics, again, we have gone for analytics on certain areas, like in petrochemical business. We have gone for profit maximization. We have gone for price prediction, production planning. There we are using the historical data and trends to analyze the data and predict what should be our future, so that we can have proper informed decision making. So these are the major areas. We are also exploring OCR-based kind of OCR-based technology for more of authentication of data or cross-checking the correctness of data. So there we are going. So what we found in this journey is that, the main crux of success of all these initiatives are 3 or 4 areas. Like, what is the problem area which you wanted to address? That is the most important thing. I mean, technology will come later. First, what are we going to address? If you identify that properly, and we can identify what are the prerequisites of that, especially in analytics, you need to have a lot of historical data, complete and correct data. So if those data are not there, probably your analytics will not give a good result. So this identification of problem and correct readiness of your system to adopt the technology is the main crux of the success of this technology. If that is done, probably half of the battle is won. Second aspect is the user acceptance, whether these technologies are accepted by the user or not. Technology have huge power, huge potential, but at times people are reluctant to change. I'll give simple example, like this video meeting. Before COVID, all organizations had this platform, but people are hardly using it. But when COVID came, there are no other option other than to use it. And then people realized what is the potential of this technology. Likewise, at times we see that people are reluctant to change, but if its potential is properly presented, then they adopt it. And last, obviously, everybody is nowadays in their personal area, they're using technology heavily, like online shopping or maybe Zomato, Swiggy, all these things. So people need some application which are intuitive, which are very user-friendly. If we can give those kind of application, those will be acceptable. So if these things are taken care of, I think this technology has huge power and it will be successful. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Bera. I think you put a huge onus on the industry now to come up with solutions, as you rightly said, to be intuitive and enough of crystal ball gazing. I think we are looking at data to be the thing to predict future for us. And you talked about the cloudification aspects for GAIL. So fantastic points around there. I think with that onus that you put on the industry, I'll request Shri Ganesh Iyer, who's the business head, government and PSU at Nutanix India, to share his views around how is industry ready, what solutions are available with the industry in the area of cloud, AI, ML, or otherwise that he think can benefit our oil PSUs greatly. Over to you, Ganesh.
Thank you so much, Akshay. Thank you so much, Governance Now and the esteemed panelists for having me over. And thank you, Bera sir, for your validation of the fact that our technology is doing good. It keeps us honest. Within this esteemed panel itself, we are having three of our customers and 2 of our prospects with whom we are trying to engage in different aspects, right? And it's a very interesting question that you put forward to me, Akshay, right? From the perspective of a common thread that I look at, one thing that cannot be taken away is all of these PSUs, and not only on the oil and gas segment, I'm saying in general, the PSUs, their needs are always subservient to the needs of serving the needs of the nation, right? The way that they've been formulated, the way that their operations exist, and the way in which they are forced to accommodate, and that would be the word that I would use. They are forced to accommodate the ever-changing needs of the general populace, makes them far more operative in a very challenging condition. Now, I have in my previous avatar dealt with the so-called enterprise segment and the commercial segment as well, right? One thing that remains consistent whenever we look at the PSU side of things and the way that they look at adopting technology, they are constrained by a lot of challenges at their own end, right? Some of which were alluded by Singh Saab, Ritvik ji, and Khanna Saab, right? In terms of not having the full flexibility, there are strictures in place wherein you will have to keep some amount of your data on your premise. You do not have the complete flexibility to go onto the cloud. And what Bera Saab said in terms of adoption, right? Unless until the technology is adopted, it actually doesn't make sense. So underlying all this, what has been our experience, and specifically in the past 2 years, has been more to do from the perspective of engaging with each and every one of these individual PSUs as well as the overall PSUs. And we no longer are accosted with questions of what is the solution that you have to offer, right? That used to be the modus operandi prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, it was a typical sales-oriented conversation that we used to have with most of our prospects saying that this is what we do, this is how it can help you, so on and so forth. Nowadays, in the past 2 years, what we have seen is a complete transformation internally as well, because as I said, these PSUs are operating with at least one of their hands tied behind their back. They have to look at the end customer while keeping the profitability subservient to the needs of the nation. And yet they need to keep on innovating so that they are not left behind when it comes to customer experience, right? And I think Suri Saab and Bera Saab had alluded to it, that people are now accustomed to seeing and getting a certain aspect of service ingrained. I will take one example, right? And though I am much younger, but still the fact is that there was a time wherein you go to any petrol pump, in a downstream scenario, you go to any petrol pump, the absolute flexibility to pay with a credit card used to exist only in the metro petrol pumps. If you go down towards the villages, if you go down towards the hinterlands of India, you used to have a challenge out there, right? But in the past 5 to 8 years, all of that has dissipated. It is an accepted norm. Even if you go down to a far-flung village, they would have a POS machine with which you'll be able to pay that. Now, that is the kind of transformation that has been effectuated at a grassroots level. It has not been easy. It's taken a lot of time. And from that journey, in the past 2 years, what we are looking at and what we are getting bombarded with, and some of the aspects that Sanjay touched on to in terms of the cloudification and AI/ML, our conversations have always now centered around, this is the project that we are trying to do for our end customer. Example, I am trying to figure out that I am having so many petrol pumps on a certain highway. I am trying to figure out what is my customer experience across all that. And that can range from only filling up of the petrol to the amenities in the petrol pump to the fact that how do they rate it vis-a-vis some other provider, and can I improve the overall experience? Now, this is dependent upon the data that gets generated, that gets captured, and has to be analyzed for an actionable intelligence for these people to make the necessary changes. These are some of the projects that we get now asked upon, saying that, okay, Ganesh, good, you have a platform which can help us transcend from on-premise to cloud, but can you also help us in terms of achieving our business goal specifically for this project? Or for that matter, we are trying to move our SAP HANA, and we would want you to see whether you would also be in a position to speed up the entire deployment, entire adoption. Can you do that? So now our conversations have become very business oriented, very, very specific in terms of what is the requirement of the business, how soon can the backend team get that lined up to the business so that both the internal as well as external customers are satisfied. So from an industry standpoint, while our readiness from an independent product standpoint always used to exist, I think now we are being more participative. Now we are actually stepping into the shoes of being a partner to their growth, understanding their challenges, and actually formulating a joint strategy for success. I hope that gave you a perspective.
Absolutely. Yes, Ganesh, I think, thank you. And I do hear how the industry is gearing up, an organization like yours, gearing up to provide the solutioning to the customer at one end, and also strengthening their backend to do enough research of the use cases, possibilities, of future, to make them aware of what can be done, what new can be done. And I think a fantastic work being done by your organization on this. Thank you very much, Ganesh. And I have now specific questions that I'll go back to the panelists. We have obviously lesser time left as always on such forums. But I'm going back to Mr. Hari Shankar Prasad Singh ji from ONGC. My question, and rather I'll say the question remains same for all the panelists largely, is share with us one use case, one initiative that you have done, implemented successfully in your respective organization, which has bore fruits for you in any form and manner. The second, something that you would like to take up as a flag bearer on these organizations, as the chief of IT and information security. What one initiative you would like to take up forward from now on? So over to you, sir.
Okay. I would tell you two or three very briefly. Firstly, we have set up a IT steering committee, IT governance steering committee. Basically, it is headed by a director. That they are actually, this committee is basically piloting the digital project in the company. And we are setting up DCOE, that is in a very advanced stage, and we are going to set up very shortly. Now, coming to the point, we have established in the SaaS platform for analytics, and we have taken, you see, our business is drilling and production basically. So this SaaS platform we have given for drilling and exploration basically, and it is two use cases we have used. It is working fantastically, and we are going to roll it out to the other domains also. Second thing we have done is that we have established a common platform for data analytics. That what we have done. So now data from exploration, production, all they collect together and give the whatever analytics we need. So that team is already working. The one adventurous thing what we have done, that SAP S/4HANA, we have now taken that entire infrastructure. We are the company like where we feel that even the zero data loss should not take place. We have got a three-way DR. One is two DR here in Delhi and one in Baroda. And then we have gone on the OPEX model by investing zero capital. So that was a very innovative implementation. And in fact, some of my colleagues were telling that, in fact, they're looking for the even cloud. Now, SAP HANA S4 has come with the cloud solution also. So even I feel that, yes, whatever we have done, that is as per the government guidelines and government regulations. If the regulation permits, even that is the cheapest solution they can think of.
Fantastic. I mean, this is quite an interesting solution that you spoke about, and I think industry can learn also in providing a value add on top of what you have delivered in ONGC. Anything new that comes to your mind which has not been done as yet?
Yes, one thing. Yes, we are doing that. We are this thing, smart contact management. Even the gas cells. We are saying smart contact management is one thing where we want to go in this thing, and blockchain for the gas cells. Even I would request my girlfriend that we have gone for that gas cells entire thing now. It is going to be from cell to realization. Entire thing is within the blockchain now, so we can visualize that. So even shortly, when we will be even telling you also to see how the system is working. So we are coming out shortly. So that is the one thing, and that smart contact management we are going to have for other things also, like other contracts also. So that is the one thing we are.
Fantastic. So I think that's a huge leap of faith in the whole blockchain technology around the smart contract that ONGC is looking at. Great, sir. Fantastic. So I'll move on to our next panelist around the same question. What one initiative that they think is something that we can all look at, and one thing that they have done already successfully, which has bore results. So may I request Shri Anil Kumarji, sorry, I think we have Mr. Suri instead of Anil Kumarji, who's responding to this. So Mr. Suri from BPCL. Mr. Sanjay Suri.
Can you repeat
Sorry, your voice is cracking.
Okay, you are muted.
I'm saying, sir, now your voice was cracking earlier. Mr. Suri, go ahead.
What were
Sorry, Mr. Suri, your voice is cracking. I think your connection probably would have a challenge. In the meantime, I'll move on to the next panelist, and I'll come back to you. So, Mr. Khanna from Indian Oil, the same question: what one initiative you have done successfully, and what one that you would like to do now? Shyalo Khanna ji.
Okay, sorry, I was on mute. So one initiative, if you want to, actually there have been very good several initiatives which have yielded result to us, and they're very close to our heart. But then, if you ask me to select one, I will definitely go in with the very fruitful initiative which we have done, is the creation of a central data management platform. So on this data management platform, we have already brought all the relevant data from our different OT systems in refineries, pipeline, and this is a huge data, and you can imagine a refinery is having almost 1 lakh tags in the historians, and this data was hitherto, it was a black box for all of us, but now having brought this on a central platform, adhering to all guidelines, now we are able to take so many initiatives, like you talk about then the predictive maintenance initiatives, the yield optimization initiatives. So this is helping us a lot, this data management platform. In fact, the success of this project is that once we implemented one of the predictive maintenance initiative, the business has already thought of next 10 initiatives which they are going to implement on it. So that is the success where I felt very satisfied that yes, and this data management platform coupled with AI ML based algorithm development. In fact, we have been able to develop a center of excellence on ML analytics, and that's giving us a huge benefit. And there have been some very fantastic analytics on customer churn prediction or customer sentiment analysis. All this due to this creation of this data management platform. So that's one initiative, and Second, I will definitely like to point out that there are several big ticket COTS tools projects which we have initiated, we have started implementing, like they are all scheduling or optimization tools like integrated planning tool for refineries, production scheduler, transport schedulers, energy management system, etc. And they are definitely going to future-proof Indian Oil from the very hectic competition which we are going to have, because we have a dual or multi-responsibility. We not only have to guard our existing fossil fuel business, but also have to parallelly develop the alternative fuel market also, like CNG, CBG, PNG, hydrogen, EV charging, EV battery swapping, whatnot, everything. I mean, we have to, we are actively investing in all these activities. So digital holds a lot of promise for us. And one activity which has a lot of potential, but we are yet to harness its full potential is the, I will definitely term it as a RPA tool, which has a lot of potential. I know that in the field, our business is doing a lot of repetitive activities. We are trying to harness its potential, and I'm very sure once it is adopted by, or the potential is realized by the business people, it will be embraced by them wholeheartedly, and we will get its fruit. So the change management, again, we are doing a lot of activities on change management, just to involve the business users in these activities. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. I think interesting platform of CDMA that you created, on top of which a number of initiatives and use cases can be drawn. And that's the benefit of having the base ready with us, so that now it can go to the next level of prediction, forecasting, and operational efficiency improvements. Thank you, sir. I'll go on to Shri Ritvik Rath, sir. And the question to him is, one initiative in future that he's looking to take up for HPCL, and one thing that they have done from future of workforce perspective. Mr. Rath.
So basically, when we looked at our digital transformation strategy itself, so one of the cogs which came up there was digital DNA at workplace. So obviously we realized that, if I can go back to some earlier panelists to talk about the upskilling versus reskilling, I think that is something which came up very significantly. So we carved out a very detailed capability development program for our officers, which is again multi-layered, because one size doesn't fit all. So it's we structured it into executive, operative, and for the officers at large. So this is something which we deployed in terms of the framework. On top of that, to aid this adoption, so we obviously looked at significantly leveraging augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So these are some things which we have put in, and it's still going on. We're in the process of increasing the adoption on these three platforms as far as enabling the workforces. Coming back to something which is we are in the process of doing and which is still to fructify, is something which Mr. Khanna has already achieved, is to have a central hub where we have an enterprise data and analytics setup, which actually gives us the springboard to take up new business problems and get insights and analytical solutions to them.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on especially the workforce, the future of workforce initiative taken up by the HPCL on board. I think a lot of organizations around the world today are focusing on not just art of possible from a business perspective, but focusing on who will make this art of possible work for them, which is the workforce that we're talking about here. So great initiative. Thank you very much, sir. I'll move on to Mr. Behra from GAIL on a similar question around one initiative that he thinks should be taken? He talked a lot about the cloudification and other things. What one initiative that should be taken in future by the organization, and what are they doing about future of workforce in Gate?
Okay. Obviously, as I told that in cloud, we'll go in the cloud first approach. First, we'll see whether application is suitable or on cloud or not. And if it is there, we'll go for that. In fact, we have gone to some extent, recently we have gone to, our tendering process has also gone to cloud. Earlier it was on-prem. As far as future is concerned, again, another thing like ONGC told, they are coming up with blockchain kind of smart contracting. We'll definitely engage with them because we are having customer-supplier relationship among each other. So we'll do there, as well as probably we'll go for blockchain for joint ticketing kind of thing of our business area. So that is another area. AI/ML is anyway coming to a large extent with some integrated solutions, like all the security solutions nowadays we are getting AI/ML enabled or embedded kind of solution, especially when the user behavior analytics kind of things are there. Those all are AI/ML based technologies. So our prior focus is that wherever we find opportunity to plug these new technologies, we will definitely go in for that. And for that, as we told, that workforce needs to be aligned. So what we're doing right now is that on every month, we are doing a digital day, wherein some session is taken place on these new technologies, wherein people from all across GAIL, those who are interested, they connect and they come to know about this. So that's a kind of making them aware of, about what is going on in the industry that we are doing every month. And secondly, whenever we are, also our training programs are now aligned in such a way that you should have a kind of analytical mindset, because this is very important to have an analytical mindset to harness these technologies. So we are also introducing some training programs wherein analytical mindset development is there. Also similarly, while recruiting, we are seeing this as one of the criteria that whether the person is having analytical mindset is there or not. So these are the things which are there in the human resource area.
Thank you, Mr. Behera. I think, I mean, interestingly, the training, e-learning, and other programs are extremely important for taking our workforce to the next level. And those initiatives, they do take time to bear fruits, but it's all the more important for us to start them now rather than wait for future. So thank you for your comments around there. I'll request Mr. Suri, if he's back in action, his connectivity is better, to respond to the same question around one initiative that the organization would like to take for ahead in future, which is still on papers. Mr. Suri?
Yeah, thanks, Akshay. And sorry for, I changed my network provider. So we have to sometimes live with the glitches. So I think I just want to touch upon top of my mind. See, infrastructure modernization is a constant exercise, which I think all my colleagues who are in the esteemed panel, they are always doing. I think it's the application modernization, which I think we need to, at least BPCL has to, embark upon. Especially some of my legacy application, SAP, which we implemented around 20 years back. I think it's due for a refresh, whether it's going for S/4HANA or, underlying platforms. Other area which I can, immediately talk about remote process, RPA tools, we already adopted one. So we are identifying certain use cases so that, as Mr. Khanna said, certain repetitive tasks which consume a lot of energies, we want to, hand over to, RPA tools. So these are the areas where we are working upon very actively. And let's see, maybe in a couple of years, because SAP modernization is a long journey. It is 2 to 3 years journey. It requires a lot of investment, a lot of training. So we are investing heavily on our existing manpower, which is we are also seeing some amount of attrition, which we are trying to supplement with reputed vendors and third-party manpower suppliers that we are trying to supplement with. But getting resources is a challenge. Getting right qualified resources is a challenge. So it's a challenge for us, manpower. But we are investing people on RPA technologies, Fiori we have done, cloud deployment, that cloud technologies, security is a big thing. We are always on our tenter hooks, so that our on-prem as well as cloud systems are secured. So we are investing on security in a big way. So these are top of my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Suri. I think it is a challenging era, and as if you look at the industry side, I'm sure you know that this is the great year of resignation and attrition in almost all the firms around. So as they say that someone said that if we don't train our people now, or maybe if I train our people now and they will leave the organization versus if we don't train the people now. I think there's a corollary. There's a huge fight between the finance function and the HR function around how much to spend in the training and skills of people versus if they leave the organization. So I think there's another area attrition that we all need to look at as an important challenge coming our way in near future. So thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Suri, on this. I'll go to last point to Ganesh from Nutanix around what one or two areas Ganesh thinks have not been touched upon by the industry from cloudification or AI ML use perspective that they can do now, or what are your thoughts around
it? So given the challenges under which the PSUs operate, I think the industry still has to come across with enough connectors so that these technologies are also available for adoption, which can happen both in as well as on the cloud. That is one, right? Something that we offer on an application level, but I'm saying purely from a use case perspective, I think it involves more investment from the industry overall, not only from a specific vendor. Secondly, to Suri Saab's point and the points of the rest of the panelists, right? As I had stated earlier, we are engaged in different stages in different use cases in terms of either doing the same objective achievement on-premise or building a way towards taking it to cloud while being compliant. However, one thing that I strongly feel that the industry per se needs to wake up and put more investment on is to build across a business team that works more closely with these PSUs purely from the perspective of lining up with their business challenges and procurement challenges. Because when you look at the procurement challenges that they have, right, while all of them understand the right kind of technologies to adopt, they are still constrained with the procurement challenges. And that is something that the industry needs to work along with them and the government of India to figure out a faster, better way so that the time taken from the cradle to grave of any project is far more in control rather than getting completely out of control. I think those are the two areas that I would possibly put forward from an industry perspective that we need to focus on more.
Thank you, Ganesh. I think fair point, and coming from experience around how we can again take a leapfrog in terms of instead of going baby steps, time to take leapfrog jumps and to move the next level of evolution and catching the emerging tech wave faster, quicker to make us leaner and more efficient organizations as all PSUs. So thank you for your comments on this. I think with this, I would we come to the end of the session, and I really thank everyone on the panel. Because I believe these oil PSUs, as Greg said in my earlier quote, that whatever falls our way, there is someone who has to clear the path so that we can move forward. And oil PSUs have done that all this while in these difficult times. And I, as a citizen, as a public individual, I would say that PSUs have come a long way in these difficult times, having made their work done digitally, transformed themselves in many areas. Some still to be looked at. But thank you very much for the support of stewards like yourself as CIOs, CXOs, CI, the information security officers in your respective organization to take this leap of faith and take us forward in these difficult times. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Governor, for your support in making a platform like this happen and bring us all together. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshaya. And thank you, esteemed panelists. There is no wonder that oil and gas sector is considered the anchorage of great and robust economy, which is sure to be an upswing trend propelled by data and emerging technologies.